Done.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views. The time is 15 minutes past 8, and we'll be having a really interesting conversation as the diplomatic tensions between South Africa and the United States of America continue to take drastic and dramatic turns. The latest in that front is obviously the biggest story from the previous week, and I think it's going to be a big story of this month. South Africa's ambassador to the U.S., Ebrahim Rasool, has been expelled from the United States, with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio accusing him of being a race-baiting politician who hates America. This move comes just months after Rasool's arrival in Washington and signals a further deterioration in SA and U.S. relations and the second coming of Donald Trump. We asked the question, was this a calculated political move by the U.S. or because we always need to look at both sides of the coin, is Rasool's rhetoric to blame? What does this mean for South Africa standing on the global stage? And most importantly, how should Pretoria respond to this? And to help us unpack this, we're joined by a political analyst and researcher. He's also a journalist, Sam Mkokeli. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media. Really a pleasure having you join us this morning. Sam, can you hear me? All right. We seem to have lost Sam Mkokeli for a moment. We're going to take a quick short break and our team will try and get him back on air. But stay tuned to Salam Media. It's going to be a really interesting conversation to have on SA and US relations after this.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers. In fact, any any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
Abu Huraira narrated that he heard the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, say, "In black seed there is a healing for every disease except death." This Ramadan, experience the health benefits of this ancient blessed seed by using the Tib Black Seed range. Black seed assists the body to boost immunity, regulate blood sugar levels, reduce inflammation, and act as a potent antioxidant. Experience a holistic approach to health by introducing the Tib Black Seed range into your Ramadan routine. Available in capsules, pure cold-pressed oil, and a vapor rub. Trust Tib Health Sciences for quality black seed products. For more information, visit blackseed.co.za. Available at leading pharmacies.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media. Excuse me, with myself, Salailo Makwidi. The time is 20 minutes past 8, and we're still having that very, very important conversation with political researcher and journalist Sam Mkokeli. And we'll talk about that diplomatic fallout. SA Ambassador Ebrahim Rasool ordered to leave US in 72 hours. And we'll be unpacking the implications of that and just how important the response from Pretoria is going to be after this and that expulsion of Ambassador Ebrahim Rasool barely 2 months after his arrival in Washington, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio declaring him persona non grata, accusing him of being a race-baiting politician who hates America. This latest development comes amid already strained relations between U.S. and South Africa, and this is following Donald Trump's second administration, his return to the White House earlier in January. And to help us unpack the significance of this diplomatic fallout, the broader implications of SA and U.S. relations, and what this ultimately means for South Africa's foreign policy, we are joined by politics research and journalist Sam Mkokeli. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you giving us your time this morning, and welcome to Salam Media.
Good morning, Slaila.
I think we can kickstart with the headline. The U.S. has expelled Ebrahim Rasool, citing his comments on Trump's administration. There's accusations that he called him a white supremacist. What can we make of this development? Already, diplomatic ties between U.S. and South Africa have been in the proverbial freezer. Does this take it a step further, and what does this ultimately mean for South Africa going forward?
Yeah, it does take it a step further, although it's not surprising. The relations between South Africa and the US are quite bad, and you expect more bad steps to occur in the next couple of months, leading to tariffs. The US will probably hit South Africa with tariffs and probably sanctions for some South African leaders at some stage. So it didn't surprise as well, because Mr. Ebrahim Rasool had been struggling to secure meetings with key people in the White House and around Congress. So the statements he made made things worse, and they're very unwise, quite foolish of him to speak like that. Ambassadors are not meant to speak like that about their host countries. They're not commentators like you and I. They have a duty to represent their government and citizens and their diplomatic channels. So he aired this Ambassador Rasool in the manner that he spoke, and it's only natural that the American government would act in the manner that indeed it's consistent with the branding and how the Trump 2.0 has presented itself. It's on brand completely to eject him in the manner that he has been.
I think now, the question would be, how does Pretoria respond? How does South Africa respond to this? Because a lot has been happening, since this year began, particularly when it comes to our relations with the United States of America. We know the AfriForum issue. We know the element of Elon Musk and, the whole genocide happening, horrible things happening in South Africa. What's the response now? What does DIRCO do? What does the presidency do? And ultimately, is there still a chance, for South Africa and the United States to be cordial again? Because we keep hearing this. Both countries do need each other, particularly South Africa. The US is our strategic partner. We have a lot of trade agreements with them, and there's just a lot economically that we benefit from a relationship with the United States of America.
Yeah, look, theoretically, there is a chance for the two countries to reconcile. Practically, there is very little chance for these countries to reconcile. The politics is just totally different from one country to another. Political value, the whole value system is totally different. The US is upset with South Africa, one, because of its stance on Israel, and the case that South Africa launched at the International Court of Justice. That's one, but that's one of many episodes that compromise the relationship between the two countries. South Africa needs the US more than the US needs South Africa, and South Africa is a great opportunity for the Trump administration, the whole MAGA movement, to make an example of, to show the rest of the world that these are muscular bullies, and this is how they will treat weaklings. We are weaklings in this case, and we're just being made an example of. And it doesn't help that we've made it easy for them. So we can expect more bullying to come the way of South Africa in the next couple of weeks.
With now, AGOA's renewal being on the horizon, could this expulsion of Ambassador Rasool be almost a prelude to economic pressure coming from the United States of America?
They've cut off aid, right, to South Africa, and why would they keep AGOA? So South Africa has to prepare for the termination of AGOA, whether South Africa gets kicked out of AGOA or AGOA is terminated in totality. So the worst case scenario is the most likely scenario when it comes to AGOA. That's what South Africa has to prepare for. And we're likely to get reciprocal tariffs before that. So that's also another scenario South Africa has to prepare for. We've seen how the U.S. has been treating its neighbors, Mexico, Canada, and these are important trading partners to the U.S. So South Africa is really a little footprint in the context of the U.S., the biggest economy in the world. It's got so many other trading partners. And it's got a new kind of politics being introduced by the president. We can critique that and say it's wise or not wise, and whether he needs South Africa strategically. But economically, we don't matter that much to them.
Could this incident push South Africa further into, let's call it an orbit of BRICS nations like China and Russia, moving a bit away from, the Western influence in the United States of America?
Yes and no. I mean, the world as we know it is being reorganized by recent events. So South Africa is going to have to look for new friends and tighten relationships with old friends. And for example, the European Union is struggling with the US and Trump, the same way South Africa is struggling. So there could be a strategic realignment as there. And maybe China and South Africa could improve, but South Africa has to find new buyers for South African goods. These goods could be oranges, they could be beef, they could be minerals. So that's what South Africa is going to need, and to move the products that are going to the US and look for customers in countries that are more embracing of South Africa and are not going to hit South Africa with tariffs.
Just one more question before I let you go. What signals should South Africa watch for in the coming months to gauge how far Washington is willing to take this confrontation? Because I think this, is just a small piece of something bigger. I think all of us can agree at this point that Ebrahim Rasool's comments almost played in the hands of the United States and their hostility towards South Africa. What signals are there that we can look out for to gauge how far the US is willing to take this confrontation? And again, what would be the best response from Pretoria, to make sure that South Africa doesn't come out scathed from this? As you mentioned, we need them more than they need us.
All the warning signals have been fired already, that the US is taking a hostile approach to South Africa. In one way, you could say with reason, because South Africa is not invested in that relationship. And the US is an important trading partner to South Africa, the second biggest after China. And then when you combine the West, that the US and Europe, you realize that South Africa's trade lanes are directed towards those destinations. So the US is an important trading partner. The warning signals have all been fired. So South Africa needs a very dexterous approach, very nimble approach to a foreign policy, and review its stances in relation to the US and its interests and its allies, and find ways that includes the choice of ambassador to the US, and also what South Africa has to do, more than just appeasing the US, it has to look after its own economic interests first. That's what must guide South Africa's foreign policy, whether it's in relation to US or China or anyone in the world. Once you put your economic interests first, your foreign policy making it becomes so much easier. You'll be more careful. South Africa has not been wise in its foreign policy in the past 15 years or so. We've been shooting ourselves in the foot, and this is why. We've actually been poking the bear in the eye when it comes to the US without looking at our foreign interests carefully. Sorry, our economic interests carefully.
No, I think we're going to leave it there. Political researcher and journalist Sam Mkokeli, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
And that's where we leave that conversation for now. But this is a conversation that is far from over. Is South Africa making a bold stand, or are we walking a diplomatic tightrope that's going to have real consequences? What's your take? Let's keep the discussion going. You can send us your thoughts, voice notes, or tweets. You're part of the story. This is going to be affecting you directly. And yeah, we want to hear your comments. Do you think that South Africa should be asserting its own foreign policy without fear? Should we be standing our ground, or should we be heeding these warning shots from the United States of America? Because they're our biggest trading partner. We need them more than they need us. And I think it's going to be interesting going forward how Pretoria reacts to all of this. But we want to hear your comments. We want to engage with you. What do you think? Should Pretoria stand its ground? Should Cyril Ramaphosa say, well, you recalled our ambassador, we want to recall yours? We saw Canada and how they're handling their neighbors, the United States of America. They're saying, well, it's tit for tat. Hey? In the Kasi, they say, if you start it, you're going to stand for it. You're going to finish it. And we see in Canada saying, well, we're going to respond fire with fire. You put tariffs on our products, we put tariffs on yours. And it's going to be, well, a tango. Ultimately, one is going to lose. Should South Africa take a similar kind of stance? Should Pretoria stand its ground? Or is it time for damage control? Hey? A lot has been lost already when it comes to our relationship with the United States. Should we salvage what we already have? Should we protect projects like AGOA? You can drop us a message on WhatsApp. Our line there is 061 766 0355, or you can give us a call on the studio line. We want to hear your voice. The number is 011-680-0355, or you can tweet us at Salam Media, and we will read your tweets live. Stay with News and Views. We'll keep unpacking the stories that shape our world and giving you updates, particularly on this story. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's hashtag Africa Focus. We will be looking at a key area of importance here on the continent and the stories coming out of it. Our first one is right here. SADC, our region, and how they've responded to the DRC. And we'll be speaking to Defense Web journalist Guy Martin about our mission there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, News and Views continues.